Hi there, my name is Teacher Joan and I'm with Merit Global Academy. So today we're going to be learning grade 8 science. So let's go. So our topic for today is the scientific method. So what is the scientific method? The scientific method is a systematic process for investigating phenomena through the use of observation and experimentation. In our previous video, we talked about what science is and how science helps us to understand the natural world. So the scientific method is a systematic process or stepwise process where we investigate the natural world or phenomena about it, and then we use observation and experimentation. So there are 6 steps. Like I said, it's a stepwise process, and the first one is observation, then we have question, then we have hypothesis, then we have experiment, and we have conclusion, and finally we have results, sharing the results with others. So the first one we're going to be looking at is making observations, or simply put, observations. This is the first step in a scientific investigation, okay? So before we can start any scientific investigation, we need to observe. Whether we are scientists or not, we make observations all the time. So, for example, you meet a person for the first time, you observe the person closely. Okay, so that's what it means to make observation. The next thing we need to do is to ask questions. So when we observe something closely, it often leads us to ask questions. For example, why is the orange rotten? Why are some worms growing inside the rice? Why is she dressed like that? Okay, so these are all examples of questions that we ask, we might ask. So after we've asked our questions, the next thing we need to do is to form a hypothesis. So what is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is a possible answer to a scientific question. Okay, so those scientific questions we asked, why are some worms growing in the rice? So a hypothesis is a possible answer. For example, the worms are growing in the rice because the rice is spoiled. The rice was left uncovered. These are all hypotheses or hypotheses. So this answer must be based on scientific. Hypothesis is a possible answer to a scientific question, and this possible answer has to be based on scientific knowledge and must be logical. Okay, so it cannot just be anything you want. It has to be within the realms of science, and it has to also be logical. So hypothesis must.
Subscribe for more educational and informative videos. For the complete course, visit www.meritglobalacademy.org. And don't miss the special rewards announced at the end, exclusively for MGA students. Let's continue with our topic.
This doesn't mean that all your hypotheses should end up being untrue, but hypothesis should have the probability of being falsifiable so that the observation now proves that it is not true. So the next step is to test the hypothesis. Okay, so before you test the hypothesis, you need to make a prediction. A prediction is a statement that will happen under certain conditions. So we can express it as follows: if A occurs, then B will happen. So a very good example is, if it rains tomorrow, people will carry umbrellas. So that's a prediction. It can rain tomorrow, people may carry umbrellas. It can rain tomorrow, people may not carry umbrellas. So it's a prediction. But if A occurs, then B will happen. So next we have to gather evidence. Evidence is a type of data that will agree or disagree with a prediction. So an evidence can either support or disprove a hypothesis. So tomorrow when it begins to rain, we may go out with our own umbrella and begin to look to see if other people came out with the umbrellas, and then we record the data. Or we saw 5 people with umbrellas, or I didn't see anybody with an umbrella. So that's what the evidence is. So the next thing we need to do is to draw a conclusion. So this is the next step. Any evidence that supports your prediction or supports your hypothesis. Does this mean that your hypothesis is true? No, this is because a hypothesis cannot be proven consistently, conclusively true. And the reason is because the evidence used in experiments is not all that there is. Okay, so the more evidence supports the hypothesis, the more likely the hypothesis is true. So this is particularly true, for example, in medicine. You have you find out that there are some medical practices that were looked at as being very good in the past, but now based on the evidence that has been gathered, those medical practices are now obsolete. So if it was looked at as they are conclusively true, then a lot of things that we should not be doing now in the realm of medicine, we'll be practicing it because we believe it's true. So no hypothesis can be proven conclusively true. And some of the ones we even have presently, when more data comes out, when people carry out more experiments, you'll be surprised to discover that even we are also making mistakes. And then, so that's what it means for a hypothesis to not be conclusively true. So the next thing is to communicate our results. So this is the last step and allows us to test your hypothesis. So sometimes you can make a mistake and this can lead to error in your experiment. So this is why it's important to communicate your results to others so they can test it. And when this happens, they will either support your hypothesis if what they find is the same with your results, then disprove it if what they find is different. Okay, so when you share your results to others, you also share your methods and any problems you encountered so that people can simulate the exact way you carry it out aside your mistakes and carry out that experiment. Okay, so this is the end of our video today. I hope you had a great time learning about the scientific method. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Exciting news! Merit Global Academy is giving away amazing rewards, including a full scholarship, half-semester discounts, and 1-month fee waivers. Thanks for watching.